is temperament change? Let's talk about it. My name is Megan and I'm a positive parenting coach. I help parents understand their child's temperament and learn tools to improve their parenting style so that they can have a higher quality relationship together. And I talk about temperament inside of part 2 of Raising Respectful Kids. It's a 3-part video series mini course. You can even watch video 1 for free in my bio link. In part 2, I answer this question: what makes a positive family? Positive parenting is about having a positive impact on the child's development and the parent-child relationship. It's not about a sweet, sugary tone or even saying the word please. It is about ditching ineffective parenting tools and replacing them with effective parenting tools. I do this work because I believe that society, adults as a whole, have a very immature understanding of behavior and its impacts on relationships. I also believe that we are well overdue to update those beliefs just as we update our apps and devices. One of the biggest outdated beliefs is that adults control a child's behavior. When we believe this, we believe that behavior is something that is trained through a system of rewards and punishments, and that we can make someone behave by manipulating the environment. Now, I'm not going to say that that doesn't work, but I will say that often it can have a very negative impact on the development of the child and the development and safety of that parent-child relationship. Thus, I call it ineffective. We can think about it like this iceberg model. The behavior that we see, the kicking, yelling, spitting, name-calling, red face, crying, tantruming, melting down, that's what we see poking up above the water. And the Titanic taught me, don't make your moves on what you can see on top of the water. Instead, we got to go deeper. And we can do that by updating this belief to now believe that behavior, what we see someone doing, is communication. It is communicating what's going on the inside, how someone feels, which leads us to practice empathy so that we can build trust and safety in those relationships. Because when we feel trusting and safe, we behave well. And that's what positive parenting and positive discipline does, is that it looks below the behavior. It gets to the thoughts, the feelings, and the beliefs. It helps you start to build skills like teamwork, problem solving, emotional regulation, and navigating transitions, and filling needs like power and attention and stimulation and soothing, so that you can understand what your child's behavior is communicating to you. Because I see many great parents fall into this fantasy that has been sold to many. And it's the fantasy of what's quote unquote good. I call this all of the detail work. A lot of great parents spend a lot of effort making things look pretty or look put together. And that's kind of like building a castle on the sand. If you want to make a safe and beautiful castle, we first have to address the foundation and make sure that it is solid so that we're not building on a faulty foundation. Because through the journey of being a parent, that foundation is going to be tested with many different elements and many different stresses. So we can ask ourselves, when we think about the relationship we have with our child, how safe is our foundation? And is it time to do a bit of proactive remediation work? That's what I help parents do. So the first question in this mini course that I ask is, what is a good kid? When you think about in your head, what makes a good kid, what comes up? If you're like the parents that I work with, they say things like they're great listeners. They do things the first time, every time. They want to do everything their parents want. They do their homework on time and by themselves, and they're nice to everyone all the time. They also say things like they're in control over their emotions. They use their words. They make good choices. They're well behaved, especially in public, and they share with others. I'm here to say that there's no such thing as a bad kid. Alexander Sutherland Nell said, the difficult child is a child who is unhappy. They are at war with themselves, and in consequence, they are at war with the world. This quote landed with me because I was this child. I was this early adult. I was this person for a very long time, at war with themselves and the world around them. And then I began to understand my temperament. Instead of focusing on trying to make things look better, I started to work on making things feel better and focus on my foundation. So when I say temperament, the definition that I use is that temperament is the innate propensity of our nervous system to respond to internal and external stimuli. In other words, it's how our bodies react in our environment. A person is born with this. That's what innate means. It's not something that anyone chooses. It impacts how we take information in and how we process that environment, and then what we put out and what we produce and how we behave in that environment. There are many different theories and classifications of temperament, as this is always evolving. But the one that I like to reference is by Stella and Chess, and it highlights 9 traits that you can start to rate your child and explore for yourself. It looks at intensity, persistence, sensitivity, perceptiveness, adaptability, regularity, activity level, first responses, and mood. They take the scores of that assessment and classify temperaments into 3 categories: easy, slow to warm, and difficult. Whenever I present this talk to a group of parents, like at a school, there is often a low murmur of nervous laughter that comes out. Maybe even a sense of validation that their child is difficult. And then it's on this slide that I really shift the perspective, because those labels, easy, slow to warm, and difficult, is not a description of the parent's experience to the child, but instead it's a description of the child's experience in their environment. Does your child have an easy time regulating what they take in and what they put out? Does your child need a little bit more time to take in, process, and put out? Or is your child like me and they have a difficult time taking in, processing, and putting out? When you understand your child's temperament, the next question that I like to ask is, how do you want to show up? Do you want to be a weight, making it more difficult for that child, using ineffective parenting tools that increase their stress load and tax their frustration tolerance? Or do you want to be a support by learning effective tools to help support your child, helping them through stressful and frustrating moments, so that you're not making a difficult time even more difficult? A child's experience in an environment can be stressed and made more difficult, or it can be supported and made easier for them, because temperament doesn't change. However, it can be supported.